In this video, we strive to remain spoiler-free, discussing only story and plot elements from the books relevant to what has occurred already on the show. When necessary, a spoiler warning with a countdown will be given.
Hi, I'm Bill, also known as Matt Stacker.
I'm Max.
And I'm the Geeky Hippie. Welcome back to What the Adaptation, the YouTube channel that reviews adaptations from one format to another format. This week, we continue with The Witcher Season 3. Max, can you tell us more about this particular episode?
Well, this is episode 6. Everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face. It was directed by Lonnie Paris-Tier. They have directed 6 episodes of Warrior. I believe you can find that on HBO. 9 episodes of American Horror Story. 7 of Banshee. They have won a Primetime Emmy for Firefly as a visual effects supervisor.
Nice.
I thought Glenn would like that.
Shiny.
Yeah.
It was written by Javier Grillo Marxock. I'm probably butchered that last
Probably
name.
Javier.
They have written 7 episodes of Lost, 24 episodes of Charmed, the original, 21 episodes of Pretender. They've also
Love that show.
They also have producer credits for the TV series Raising Dion, Cowboy Bebop, The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, the
Bless you.
Shannara Chronicles,
Ooh,
and the
that one
100.
hurts.
and the 100. They have
Nice.
won 2 Primetime Emmys, one of which was for The Dark Crystal, and the other was for Lost.
Huh.
So we have a little bit of backing for the director and writer for this episode. In this week's episode, Phil Evandrel hits the fan. The Brotherhood is
Ouch.
briefly held at knife point, then held at arrow point. Francesca brings the burning ring of fire down on the party, silencing the bards forever. Tisea goes full emperor on everyone's ass.
Whoa. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yennefer and
Well,
Triss
team.
learn about teamwork and save the day. Meanwhile, Geralt takes a nap after reenacting Matt's fight against the Elaine brothers from the Wheel of Time. Finally,
Ooh.
Ciri blows some shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, we're done. All right, see you guys.
All right. Next week. One week tonight. What'd you
As we
guys think
saw,
of
a
this?
lot of stuff happened in this episode.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, that battle scene. Oof. Oof, that was pretty.
Like I said,
Yeah, it
Philandrel
was.
hit the fan.
Yeah.
Now, did you watch before reading that segment of the book, before reading chapter 4? Or which order did you do it again?
I read before I
Okay.
watched it,
Okay.
so it was much more visceral, particularly Geralt stomping out Dykstra's leg. That was
Ow.
brutal.
Ow.
That was particularly visceral for me. That was one of my favorite scenes, though, because God, I hate Dykstra.
Yeah. He got his arm pretty good, too.
Yeah, but that leg stomp was just
That,
ugh.
that was horrible. I really enjoyed it. Changes and all. The way I look at it is, yeah, there were changes, but a lot of the stuff that wasn't in the book was stuff that could have happened off screen, in the book. Because from the moment we never actually see the elves inside, really. I mean, we see some elves following Thran's chasing after Ciri in the book, and we see some elves shooting at Dorgry, Geralt, and whoever the other wizards he was outside with once he got outside in the book. But other than that, we don't see the fight between the Scoia'tael and any of the wizards. So all of this could have happened in the book, and we just never got told about it. So,
Dude, just the Elven Queen, just matted head to toe in gore
Carrie,
throughout
yeah.
half the fight was beautiful. Absolutely what
Yes.
I thought of.
her eyes
That-
really stood out.
Well, that shot with the falling ring of fire in her eyes was just mwah.
Yeah.
that
Some great
that
cinematography,
beautiful.
too.
it shows.
Max?
Yeah, it shows. Yeah, I like the episode.
Good.
Changes it all.
Agreed.
Which brings me to our first question of the night. Of all the changes from the source material, what are some of you enjoyed and some of you disliked?
Let you guys go
Um,
first.
I really enjoyed, seeing the battle. I mean, it was brutal, but it was done in a way where it was also beautiful in spots. You got the sense of how gross everything was and painful, but at the same time you had these intermixed shots of beauty with the violence, which I think was great. The only thing I sort of missed out on was Siri, sort of given the prophecy on you might want to set your spoiler warning here. um yeah, the king being assassinated the night before and that it was already too late, because that in the book you really get the sense of helplessness that there's just nothing we can do. This is just it's going to be a mess, and there's no hope.
I'd say, speaking of spoiler, that happens the same night, doesn't it?
In
Yeah.
the book, I think, yeah.
And I believe in the show, as we'll find out next episode, it's not the same night.
Okay. I haven't
Not in the
watched. I'd
show.
be on episode 6. I'm saving it. So
Like, it's spoiler, it's like after the events.
Yeah.
okay. Well, that brings up the question of never mind.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Spoiler.
episode 6 though. Or 7. I think it's 8, 9.
I can't remember. But it is after the events of
Yeah.
this one. Like
Okay.
either the night of or the day after.
It's at the point where they're actually holding some of the mages at knife point.
Yeah.
Is when Siri goes into the trance and does it in the book, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, that sort of moment makes you realize that there's no hope, and this battle that's going on and is going to happen has no point. So every death hits you a little bit harder. So I think it would have been nice to see it, but I can understand why they didn't cram it into this episode. There was a lot.
So do you side with Geralt on all of his neutrality that he's always going for in the book and in the show? Or do you ever think anybody else is right in their arguments against his obstinate neutrality? He refuses to get involved between Nilfgaard and the North, and the Scoia'tael and humans.
In this case, the whole mage on mage thing, I 100% agree with him. It's the smartest move he can make. It was also the safest one for Siri, which is his focus. So
Yeah.
on this case, yes, I absolutely agree with him staying neutral.
How about his whole argument with what was it, Yarp and Zigrin back in Blood of Elves when he was traveling with him?
That one's a little harder.
Yeah.
It's more of a moral gray area, and it comes down to sort of his personal choice. I got no right to take that away from him. So
Right. I don't know. I just feel like, to me, this is one of those topics that Geralt's usually wrong about, in my opinion. The whole idea of neutrality. Because it is part of this theme of this episode in a way, because like it opens up. What are the first words out of Dykstra's mouth? You should have picked a side. On this one, yeah, I can understand why you would say, yeah, it's between the wizards and the wizards, but I'm just going to stay out of it. But there's more to it than that, because, there's a whole set of the wizards that you want to stop because they want to screw with your kid.
Well, they all want Siri, so I mean,
Yeah,
there isn't anybody that doesn't.
Some are a bit more benevolent or benign in their desire for her than others.
You got to keep in mind too, there's a business aspect to this with Geralt. If he starts picking sides, that means a whole section of people will not hire him for certain jobs because he stood against them on something. And he's like, nope, I'm just not picking sides. I'm going to do my job, kill monsters, and I'm done. I want to get paid.
It kind of goes into the article that came out recently about the producer of the show. About, if you read the article recently, about the way the writing of the show was, let's say, dumbed down. If you actually dig into the article, they talked about, I think they talked about like a bridge in Poland or something. And effectively, you have Hitler on one side and Stalin on the other. And which one do you choose?
You jump off the bridge.
And it's kind of where Geralt's at, is like, do you be neutral or do you pick a side? And yeah, that's kind of what his choices are here.
I act against the one who's the most quickly going to be killing innocents, which is exactly what everybody tells Geralt he needs to do. Is to fight against the one who's killing innocents left and right. And that, I can't remember if that's an argument that's happened in the books at this point or not. I'm not going to say between who, but it obviously with Geralt. But the same
Right.
applies to the innocent people being attacked by the Scoia'tael. Who the Scoia'tael were working for.
I can't speak for the books as I haven't got that far, but like in the games, we see the atrocities on all the sides. Like no one's innocent on this.
Yeah.
There's no good guy.
Yeah.
Well,
period.
One of the themes of the overall series is that humans are the monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and they always have been.
As back to the topic of changes, my memory always gets fuzzy on it, but I'm pretty sure Dijkstra wasn't actually at this thing.
No, he was there. Dijkstra
he
was there.
He was there?
Because
I felt like he wasn't there.
Yeah, Geralt was happy because it was the one other person he knew wasn't in the Brotherhood.
Okay. I felt like he wasn't there in that whole conversation. Like they moved it from Villagefort to Dijkstra, and they kept going back and forth, like changing it. But I did really like him busting up his leg.
Yeah.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Let's see. Changes. I felt like the explosion thing was slightly, well, not say slightly, but just different.
You heard that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We hear it.
Just saying. Let's pause.
Let's do the pause wave so you know when you're editing.
All right. We're back in.
Yep. So, like I said, there was a difference in the explosion from the book, and it really comes down to we didn't really see the portal she made versus everything. And from like our perspective, she's like the tower just explodes.
Yeah.
She's talking to some stones or some weird shit, all of a sudden the tower explodes, and like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, I think my wife and I dubbed it the obelisk of death.
Yeah. And in the book, there's a whole unstable portal thing you mentioned, and that causes Villagefort to like lose half his face.
Yeah, it is referred to in this episode. Somebody says, as soon as we get further away from Torlara, we can portal out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who said it though.
Yeah, it's what's her name with Dijkstra? She's helping him out.
Oh,
yeah.
Because right after that, she says it's a good thing you like pain.
That is true.
Pip, as Radovid says.
But like, we don't really know what the hell is going on with Ciri. Just that talking to some stones, all of a sudden it explodes, and we don't know if there's a portal being made. As a viewer of the show, we'll know what happens where she goes next episode, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a viewer, you have no idea.
Follow the book. Yeah.
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 And
I haven't watched it yet, so I'm hoping they follow the book.
And you have no idea what the hell happens to Villagefort, whereas in the book, it's obvious what happens to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked my wife, I'm like, did they just kill him? Because I don't see how he survived that. Yeah, given the explosion they showed, I'm like, wow. Okay, yeah, no, he's not okay. He shouldn't be alive, period.
And like I said, spoilers for future episodes, you do see him again. And I'm just like, did I miss a scene?
No.
Well, please tell me he's missing like some
his face is
chunk of his face. Oh, good.
His face is messed up.
It literally looks like I completely missed a whole episode with him or something. Like there's some edited scenes on the cutting room floor somewhere.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was binging the 3 episodes that came out a week or so ago. I just plowed right through them, and then I was like, there seemed to be stuff. It feels like they filmed stuff and then cut it out.
Definitely.
Because the way they're referring to stuff, but and some
Well,
of it I
I'm
think is
very
references to lines from the book that don't make. Well, I've got one coming up in a minute here, but
I'm very interested to see how they're going to close this season out. Because given the title of the next episode, I'm assuming we're getting Siri in the desert. I'm assuming.
yes,
I mean, frying pan is in the title, so
right.
I can't
yeah.
say whether they changed much of the Vilgefort's fight scene with Geralt much. Like it's brutal in the book and it's just as brutal in the show.
Oh, dude, man, you can hear his spine snap.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
Like I can't remember if they had a spine shot in the book. I can't recall that. Like I remember a broken leg. I don't remember a spine hit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember the spine hit either in the book. I do remember the leg.
I definitely remember the leg.
Yeah, me too.
The spine hit, I'm like, ooh,
I don't
that's
remember
like
that.
some Batman.
I was
That's some
just
Batman
reading.
stuff.
Cracking noise. Ugh.
I was just rereading or listening to it. Granted, I was listening to it at 1.75 speed. I normally don't listen at that fast, and I might have missed it. But I had a problem. I didn't really have a problem with the fight between Vilgefortz and Geralt. I had a little bit of an issue based on a line of dialogue in the episode that it made the line of dialogue just not as impactful and as cool. They should have been fighting in front of Torlara, the tower itself, with Geralt between Vilgefortz and the entrance, which is where they were fighting in the book. Because Vilgefortz is gloating that there's no way out, no way out, and Geralt's last and just like, oh, that's good, I'm happy then because it means there's only one way in. And in the book, he says, the way that I'm blocking. In the show, he's like, and you'll never get there in time. When Vilgefortz is between him and the exit to the cave that you have to go out to go get to Torlara. So, Geralt, he's between you and the tower, and you're saying he can't get there in time? Yeah, fat chance. He's a wizard. So
there were a couple of weird cuts in this episode. Like they're out in the field, and all of a sudden he's out by a tower, and then Yennefer's I think back inside somewhere else, and like I'm not sure how everything like split up again.
They'd split up when they were out in the Game of Thrones set. It looked like it's from the Eyrie, like where they filmed the Eyrie, like or Rohan. It had just like there was rock formations with grass, and there was like the path there, the road they were on was like a little valley.
But it's like Ciri and Geralt are talking, all of a sudden Yennefer's just gone. And then she's like back in. But like she's just gone. Yeah, she's like gone.
Right after Rance dies.
Yeah, and then she's back in there again somewhere. And then Geralt's off, and then Ciri's off going somewhere else. So it's just like the speed at which they like disappear and then they're in another location is a little bit disconcerting this episode.
Well, she is a magic user.
Yeah, but they can't teleport.
Because they're too close.
You could at that point because the moratorium against the magic had been broken.
No, it wasn't.
Oh no, because of
the vicinity to Torlara. You don't portal near Torlara. You got to be a ways from Torlara. Otherwise, because it has it messes with portaling.
Tell that to Ciri.
That's what the problem was. Is she didn't really think about that. I'd like we talked about the fight scene and the battle. Actually, I liked all that expansion on what happened, and it made it more TV friendly. I mean, TV friendly, especially a fantasy show. You kind of need action, especially in like a big, like major episodes, and this is like a major episode. This is one of the big turning points in the books. And there was action there, and I'm glad we got to see it. Might be different from the actual actions that occurred on page, but it's hard. It's essentially the same story.
Right.
I got to give a thumbs up for how they had Dykstra catching Geralt at the beginning. Well, the end of last episode, beginning of this one, because if they'd stuck with the book, we would have seen more than we ever wanted to know about Geralt's urinary practices. Because he only ran in to get Dykstra because he went out to go take a piss in the garden instead of pissing off the balcony, as the book says. And I'm like, okay, so this is a much better way of having him run into Dykstra. I just thought that was funny when I was listening to it today. Another change that I'm fine with is that Triss wasn't part of the coup, the first coup at Thanedd. She wasn't actually a part of either coup in the show. She was part of the the Redanian coup with Dijkstra and all them in the book, and that was all I had.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Because she was like an unwitting part of that, wasn't she?
No, she was fully involved. She was fully involved, and she's the one who saved Geralt's ass when in the middle of it, when he was brought in where the other wizards were. She saw him and she blinded him, just so that nobody would want to kill him because he saw too much.
I get why they've sort of downplayed Triss a little bit. For those of us who have played the game, she's such a huge option
Yeah.
involved in the game, and there's a part of me that is like, okay, so they're steering away from that, and I get why they're doing that for the series.
I love Triss,
so I can
but
see
it'll
them.
always be young.
I can see them changing some of Triss's story, so
Yeah,
I didn't have a problem with that.
Triss is the nice girl, but Yennefer is Yennefer. I mean, I like.
I said unwitting. Didn't they have some kind of like blackmail or something going on with her?
Triss? No.
Some kind. Yeah, I thought they had something.
Not that I know of.
Couldn't remember.
This isn't
I thought
Nancy
they
Drew
had something.
season 4.
They had something that they were controlling her with.
Not that I can remember. I think she was fully involved. She was on the logic. I mean, she was a close. She was a counsel to not Radovid. Who's the one whose daughter was a Striga? King, whatever his name was, Foltest. I think King Foltest. She was part of Foltest's court. And, yeah, I don't remember what Foltest's kingdom was, but she was definitely aligned with the Northern Mages because she served closely with King.
Well, in the end, they weren't wrong about Vilgefortz.
No, they weren't.
So,
And I never saw on the show. If I hadn't read the books, I never would have seen it coming up until maybe an episode or two ago. If I had never read the books, I think they did a pretty good misdirect for the first 2.5 seasons.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I wasn't quite caught up to the part in the book, but when they mentioned that the one girl had the same mineral bracelet that made them turn towards Villefort and go, wait a minute. I was like, oh my God, it's been him the whole time.
And he's the one who set up Stregobor, which, that's not hard to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, either way, Stregobor kind of deserved it. My question is he dead?
We don't
know.
We don't know. Hope. I hope. I hope he took out a bunch of the Scoia'tael, because I don't like the Scoia'tael.
We also don't know when he got set up whether he just got the evidence of him actually doing these deeds put in that safe.
Yeah. I think that was part of it. I think Vilgefortz had it.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
I think Vilgefortz had the book and then put it in Stregobor's case, lock safe.
Why? I mean,
as part of setting up Stregobor.
Yeah, I mean,
case.
Yeah, but the list of names was enough. If he wanted the book, he had the book. Why would he then put the book somewhere where he may lose it? Wouldn't
he
make
knew
that
he would.
makes no
He knew he
sense.
would get it back. He knew
Uh,
he could count on Tessaya to take it and put it lock up for, for as evidence.
well, that's true.
Yeah. He knows
He
I,
did
I'm
have
just saying,
her.
like, he
well.
put the evidence of the girdle stuff, the
Yeah,
the bracelets
Some
or
of that-
whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
That might
yeah,
have been-
the half elven girls,
Yeah.
their names, their objects, and all that stuff.
Like, I could
That's
see
why I'm-
I could see Stregobor totally killing them and then doing something with the evidence, and Vilgavor like putting that back into that safe behind an
Yeah.
illusionary wall.
Yeah.
And Stregobor was
I-
like, I hid the evidence somewhere else in an outhouse, and I didn't hide. I didn't put it in the safe. I did not guilty.
Did
And he's
saying I
surprised
didn't
anybody else
do
that's in
it.
that safe.
The show seemed to be trying to make it like this victorious moment when Stregobor shows up, but I just couldn't feel it. Could you?
I don't think
wanting
we're
to-
meant to.
It's supposed to feel dirty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
But they tried playing it like it's this like fuck yeah moment, and it's like
I don't-
fuck no.
I don't think they did. That's why they had him
That's-
saying such vile crap. I mean, did you hear him? You
Yeah.
filthy mongrels. I mean, come on. That is not somebody who you're rooting
Yeah.
for, period.
But you're
So we're not supposed to like it.
I think the line that you're supposed to cheer him on is I'll go on, I'll give you time or whatever. When he turns to Yen and tells Yen to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think his
That's
prior dialogue is to remind you this guy's a scumbag.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, irregardless, it doesn't
you're-
matter.
you're
I'm
not
not going to
supposed to-
root for him.
Yeah, you're not really rooting for him. You're like,
Hmm.
yeah. If he gets killed in the action, oh well.
I'm hoping.
You're like, oh no, please don't throw me in the briar patch.
There is one person left in the with on the Scoia'tael side that I do still kind of like, and I kind of like Fringilla. Especially after what she's been through. I really like Fringilla. And so, but I Francesca's just, I do not like show Francesca at all. And next question, Max.
Question 2. How will the show interpret the appearance and nature of the costumes, props, scenery, creatures, both practical and VFX? And did you enjoy the music? Was there any music this episode?
Yes.
I didn't notice, to be honest, because I was so busy looking at the spectacle. So,
There was
I didn't pay
fire this
attention.
episode. Lots of fire.
Yes.
fire, air bursts, blood,
Bone snapping.
Yeah,
Lots of bone snapping.
Multiple bone snapping. Yeah.
pin cushioning.
Head
One
coming
mage who got
off,
shot like 50 times, just arrows from
fingers being
shoulder to
taken off.
pelvis,
Owl
Fingers-
screeching.
ripping eyes out. Yeah.
I think visually everything looked great to me. I didn't see any bad CGI shots that I noticed, at least. I was a little bit not completely sober when I watched it, so I might have been a bit more forgiving than most.
I was, and
I mean-
I didn't have any complaints, honestly.
You mentioned the fire ring in the eyes.
That was so beautiful. I want to give a shout out to the sound people because, those crunches of the breaking bones, and there were quite a few in this episode, were
Yeah.
just spot on. Very visceral reaction from me when you hear them. So, I mean, yeah, I love that part too.
Yeah, was it? Trying to think of her name. Francesca just covered in the blood, like you said. Very
Oh,
Carrie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very. With those eyes,
Mm-hmm.
the contacts they have her in is just magnificently horrible. I love it.
There's 3 people of contacts that I know I can tell on the show. She's got contacts in. They put contacts on Geralt. Some shots to change his eye color. And Siri, Freya Allen, wears eye contacts to change her eye color. They don't use them on Yennefer though to give her the violet eyes. They do that on the computer. But they've started using the computer to use some shots with Geralt as ones.
Makes sense.
Contacts are one of those special effects things that sometimes really drive me nuts to see. And one of the drawbacks to Ultra HD makes it a lot easier to see and the higher def you get, the easier it is to see that somebody's wearing contacts.
Well, those the full sclera contacts are horrible to wear.
Yeah,
Like when they go the full black eye, and the contacts for those, as somebody who's cosplayed, is horrible, horrible. I have some yellow ones I used. I went to my brother-in-law's wedding dress as the Witcher, so I
yeah.
actually used the yellow one. I had a hard time seeing with those. I can't imagine the full sclera contacts. That had to be
I
rough.
think for the black eyes on this show, and most of the time in Hollywood, like on Supernatural, I think they do it with CG these nowadays. The
Yeah,
full
they do
black,
now.
yeah, the full black. But quite a lot he does have his cat-like eyes, at least in past seasons, and some shots in this season. You can tell that Henry Cavill is wearing contacts. I couldn't wear eye. You'd have to. It would be a really big sticking point in my contract if they want me to wear eye contacts. I'd have to get paid a lot of money to have anything put against my eyeball except the inside of my eyelid. I just no. I don't like my eyeballs being touched. Yeah, ooh, freaks me out just the thought.
You get used to it. I mean, it takes a little bit of practice.
I'm thinking of a
Yeah.
certain movie called Orange.
Don't know that one.
I do. It's okay.
I can't think of the full title, but Bill knows what it is.
Yeah.
Any others? Otherwise, we can move to question 3.
I should go on.
I think question 3.
What is a scene or sequence you most remembered, enjoyed, or hated?
I really enjoyed the 4-second fight scene between Dijkstra and Geralt. And Dijkstra pulls the dagger on him, the knife, and just starts going in. And 4 seconds later, Geralt's got him pinned up against the wall with the knife to his throat. And I'm just like, yep. Yep.
And Dijkstra
that's
said,
fast.
I had to give it a try, right?
Right?
Yeah, he's like can't blame a guy for trying. It's like
Yeah.
actually I can. Snaps his
Boom.
arm.
I enjoyed that scene.
You do bad for how old he is. Not Witcher.
He's not even as old as Geralt.
I mean, if Geralt were a regular human,
yeah, Geralt's like 80 or 90 at this.
in human
Yennefer's
years,
90. Geralt's 100. I think he's older than that.
in human years, Geralt's younger.
Definitely in better shape. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Although, if you were to compare, I don't know. Graham McTavish might actually have a chance at taking down Henry Cavill. Because Graham McTavish is a big, muscular dude. Especially for his age, but even at his age, he's a big, muscle dude. That would be an interesting match to see. The two actors.
Well, the actors versus the characters are two.
Yeah, I'm talking characters here, not the actors.
The characters, but the actors would be interesting to see. See, I still have a hard time picturing Dijkstra in my head as Graham McTavish. I picture him more like Ian McNeice who played the Emperor in the Dune miniseries. I picture somebody built more like that as Dijkstra. Because he's described as being very corpulent, and I always pictured kind of almost Baron Harkonnen like.
I think as for scenes I loved, the Seiya casting Azura's Thunder. Just that moment of heartbreak where she's staggering down the hall and leaves that blood swipe on the wall, and then she goes upstairs. Just the pure brokenness you can see in her face was beautiful. I love that scene. I mean, it sounds morbid that I was enjoying her pain, but at the same time, you could feel the pain. You could see it in her eyes. So I was like, yeah,
she had a great
at this quality every show. So yeah, I love that scene.
For me, it's kind of a toss up between Philandrel hitting the fan and
Wicked Man.
the fight scene between Geralt and Villefort.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good fight. I just
The choreography on it, I just love.
Yeah,
I
it was
love
well done.
the whole thing of that steel. First of all, a metal staff is just wow. He's moving it like it's lightweight wood, but and the fact that it disappears and reappears in the other hand, or like right there for the other hand to close down on it. You know, I like this teleporting staff because that could be handy. Well, it was
Well,
handy.
it also extends and retracts. It got me
Yeah.
thinking about Dragon Ball with Goku and his his power pole.
Ooh, that doesn't sound good. Powerful? Please don't say that again.
So Bulma calls it.
Yeah, she does.
Wow.
More like Chi Chi, but
Oh yeah,
Too much.
tell you how often it's been for how long it's been since I watched that show.
I'm like, hey, you want to go Bulma? I think Vegeta's gonna get mad though.
Yeah. Oh, that's why they got a feud.
There you go. That's why they hate each other.
And technically he has seen her that way, so
Kakarot.
Hello, The Witcher? Yeah.
Oh
remember
yeah,
that
sorry.
show?
same
Yeah.
thing. Same thing.
Oh, okay.
They changed their hair color.
Oh.
Yeah, you know when
So-
Geralt's eyes go black, he's just going Super Saiyan. That's his
Yeah,
version.
Okay.
Exactly the same thing. Wait till
Next
they learn
up.
fusion. All right. Question 4. How well written was the dialogue? And did it adapt any lines from the books? And did the actors deliver those lines well?
I'll let you guys go first.
I think yes. Not too many lines that I can pull out straight out of the book. I mean, word for word that I can think of, but I don't think there was anybody who was really horrible acting wise or bad this episode. Everything was delivered with feeling.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of talking for large sections of this. A little bit of screaming. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it was fine.
If anything, I almost feel like this episode could have been twice as long to get a little bit more dialogue in here.
I would have been okay with that.
The scene
I
with
would
like
too.
Triss and Triss and Yennefer with I can't think of the other mage's name, the one that they encountered in like the tunnels. Yeah.
Lydia.
I felt like there could have been more to that scene, but it just ended way too fast. Like some kind of a little interrogation, something. It just went snap, done, and they took off. The scene with the Rayance, I can't pronounce his name right now. Rayance. That was just like I said before, quick and fast and done, over.
Yeah, but it was so gratifying.
It was.
Yeah.
But it was quick,
to
fast, done.
finally see him brought down just made my heart squee.
I love the Dijkstra encounter. I thought that was great dialogue. Vilgefortz, his I don't know. I think Glenn had issues with it. With that dialogue. I can kind of see
at the end.
Yeah. With Geralt talking.
Yeah, the fight scene.
I had that one, that one line about, that it puts them in the wrong places. The fact that they were in the wrong places.
Wasn't sure if he had an issue with their dialogue or not, but
no, not for the most part. I just really don't understand why they put them in the cave instead of outside the entrance to Torlara. So it would have matched the book. That was one change that I think actually cost them more money to film inside of the cave than to film in front of their CG tower that was already made.
It almost like the Vilgefortz scene, like dialogue, he was kind of, I know he's cocky, but it just felt like a little overplayed. His speech to Geralt, like it just, something was just a little off to me with that.
Yeah, I liked it.
Like I said, I liked it, but there was something off.
There were quite a few lines from that were from the book, though.
I mean, the fact that he's going on about, do you want to know what the hardest thing is, was holding back how good I really am. And you feel that in that moment, and he basically beats the crap out of Geralt.
Mhm.
So you're like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
that wasn't all talk. So it was a payoff for me in that sense. I mean, he wasn't lying. He is really that good. He just has been hiding it.
I don't know. He just didn't convince me with his words, his actions, obviously,
Well, yeah,
but his words, I don't know. There's something I don't know.
it was
There's
very matter of fact
Mhm.
as opposed to being boastful. But I
there
think
was a
that kind of
line that
adds to it a little bit because it's more of a fact to him than it is, I'm a
Mhm.
bad man. He's like, no, 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 I'm that good. I'm just telling you now, I'm that good. But yeah, I can see how that would come off a little flat.
Yeah, probably the best word for it. Flat.
Yeah, I could
it
see, I
happens
could see that.
sometimes. There was one line that I was happy to see in it. It sounded like I'd have to go back and catch him saying it again in the episode on the show, but I think they took it literally word for word um, from the fight between Vilgefortz and Geralt. And it's, you mistook the stars reflected in the pond at night for the sky. Um, I know that's exactly how it's written in the book. I'd have to double check. If it's off by a word or two at most.
I think it's
But
spot on.
yeah,
Sounds
there were a
pretty
number of
sure.
lines. There were a number of lines from different scenes that when I watched the episode and then I listened to chapter 4 and then I was speed watching the episode and I was hearing lines that I had just heard each time I was, when I read the book, I was listening to the book when I was watching. I'm like, oh, that was in the book, and that was in the book. So I was pretty happy with that. I already brought up the whole thing about I wasn't happy with them using the line "good, there's no way out." That just didn't make sense. But I think, and I don't care for the character who said it and their motivations, but I think the line that was just the most perfectly delivered line in the entire episode was "death to Redania." As soon as Vilgefortz's Demeterian bracelets came off, he goes "death to Redania" and then just blasts that Redanian soldier who had clocked him a couple times. And I'm just like, that was the best delivery of a line, of a single line in the entire episode. Don't have any that I didn't like though.
Yeah, I didn't either.
There wasn't much in this episode I did not like.
Question 5: Who would you call best or worst actor? And you can choose it to 3, Glenn. For me, I'd say Dijkstra's bones were a very convincing snap,
Agreed.
followed up
Yes.
by Geralt's bones.
Yes.
Best
But
snap since Thanos.
I really have to give props to
Oh.
the what is left over of Philandrel. He
Oh,
really was
yeah.
mystifying.
Dear God.
Oh. Wow.
Wow.
Nice, Max.
All right. Points for that pun. Points for that pun.
Yeah. That's a good play on words there, bro. You gotta give you credit. I've got 3, of course. First runner up is Eamon Farron as Kahir. I thought his performance in his 2 scenes as Kahir this episode was pretty good. One when he was talking to Fringilla, and then one when him and Ciri were confronting each other. I really think the person for my second deserves it. My second runner up, or first runner up, whatever it is. Second place is Mahesh Rajadu as Vilgefortz. I thought he was really good. And I like watching that shift, where everybody likes him, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm done with this. And then he walks out the door. It's
Yep.
like, you could even say it started with Death to Redania, but I mean, that was kind of like, he was antagonized into that one. But my number 1, Mayanna Buring, is to say it agrees. She is just, she was just on fire this episode. I mean, yeah.
Almost literally.
Yeah. She was just really good this episode. And I've given her props on this, on our channel here a few times through the earlier seasons. and even earlier this season. I hope to see a lot more of her in future shows of different things. I really, really do think she was great in this episode. It has been in the past.
Yeah, for me, Freya Allen as Siri. It's my first time with you guys for which so I got to throw it out there. Consistently this season, she's been
Yeah.
outstanding for me. But yeah, my number one was my Anna Burn as Tisea. It was just like I said, when she's betrayed, you see it on her face, you feel it coming off of her, and then it's just her performance was electric, just
I think
electrifying. It was
she's
awesome.
kind of Diana Burring is kind of the unsung hero, from the actors on this show. Because some of the best performances that I've seen on the show were ones that came from her. I think. No, she was a great find. I'm sure there are those out there who've seen her and stuff before this. I know she's been in a lot of stuff before this, but so what's next here?
Well, Max has to give his.
Yeah.
That's what we started. Oh, I'll cut that out.
See, aside from, like I said earlier about, mystifying and all that, pretty much touched all of it. Graham Tavish did great as Dijkstra. Aside from the bone stabbing joke,
Yeah.
he still did great this episode. He always takes the cake for his acting chops.
He's always so slimy, in Witcher. He's
Oh,
like makes me want to take a shower after I watch his scenes. Just yeah.
Speaking of slimy, the slimiest of slime in this episode.
Ryan's?
Makes you feel the other slimy guy, Stragobord.
Oh.
Makes you feel dirty when they want you to cheer your mom, but you can't cheer your mom because he's so freaking slimy.
No.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that filth coming out of his mouth. I'm like,
And in a couple of weeks, I'll be seeing him as Grand Admiral Thrawn. Looking forward to that.
I feel like you gotta give him prop for being like a love and hate him character.
Yeah.
You hate him so much. How do you love it? But you hate him,
He had a nice line of foreshadowing in this episode. The last line he had. I'm going to make people go look and watch the last line he had. It's some foreshadowing to some stuff. But
so other than that,
those were our actors.
Yep. Last question of the night is of the question 6. The themes present in this episode, which ones caught your attention, and what do you think of those themes? Are those the books or events happening in real life?
You first.
Me? Oh, man, chaos. Chaos. It was all chaos.
Yeah, there was a lot of chaos, literal and magical, going on. Is that it?
Yeah.
Wow.
For me, the destruction of distrust. Just from a couple words here and there, everybody turns against each other, and the absolute futility of the fight they're fighting. Definitely from the books you get that. It's just pointless. So those were the themes that really stood out to me.
I think a big one is family. At least, we've got it down, when we think about Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri, they are a family.
Well, there was a beautiful moment where Yennefer called Ciri my daughter. So
yeah. And
yeah, it was a very nice moment.
I'm looking forward to one of the lines, and I think it's partially Peter Kenny's performance of doing the voice of Ciri in the books, but Siri starts referring to her as mommy, and only ever calls her mommy. You know, calls her mommy on a number of occasions. And I'm looking forward to hearing Freya Allen call her mommy or mummy. You know, is actually because it was how it was pronounced. His family was also, you know, Tisea was sort of like Yennefer's mom. You know, so there was that family bond between those two as well. Then I've got working together in unity. It came into play.
Trying to.
Yeah, trying to work together. It started out as everybody there to work together in unity, and then the first coup plan took place, and then the second coup plan went into effect, into action. But you had people who were part of the first coup, you know, switch back to wanting to fight against those who were attacking the castle. You know, where originally it was the Redanian soldiers, then all of a sudden you got the Scoia'tael. And the next two themes I picked up on are kind of really flip sides of the same coin. First one is vengeance. Most visually personified by Arzun's lightning or whatever that spell is that Tisea cast there at the end. I mean, she did that out of pure vengeance. I mean, that's what, you know, she wanted to wipe them out after what they have done. And I don't blame her one bit. You know, I'm not faulting her on that. The elves were trying to enact a vengeance on humans for everything that humans had done to them. You know, understandable there. At the same time, I think Stregobor I think Stregobor's always had maybe not legitimate reasons, but he's had reasons why he hates the elves so much. I think I remember him saying when he showed last season that he had no hands. I think it sounded like he was involved with the putting down of Falca a few generations ago, who they ended up burning with the stake. And I'm pretty sure he's got a personal grudge against the elves of several centuries ago, and that's why he's so nasty towards elves now. So I think what he was doing was vengeance. But the flip side to that is forgiveness, or asking forgiveness at least. Sabrina and Kira both asked for forgiveness basically when asking, you know, before they were allowed to join in the fight against the Scoia'tael. And then you've got that scene. Well, it was, you know, hey, yeah, we're sorry. Let's fight on the same side, tying into the working together unity theme.
But they didn't say I'm sorry. They said, you know, judge us tomorrow. Let us fight today. That's not I'm sorry. There's a big difference. So I got to disagree with you there. That's not, hey, we screwed up. That's let us help out. You can yell at us tomorrow.
Then you have Kay here begging for the forgiveness of Siri. You can't argue that.
That absolutely. Yeah.
Which I'm a really torn individual over that scene. And I can't go into why. I really can't, because the only person on the channel right now that I could go into why would be with Jen and have a conversation about the books. So I can't wait until you guys have finished the books and I can chat with you about that entirely.
I'm getting there slowly.
You'll probably beat Max.
Probably.
Well, I don't know. You know, I still got Silverthorn I got to get caught up on for next week.
I got to do a reread on that. Wait, next week already? Oh, no.
Well, if we stick to the schedule.
Yeah, holy cow. Yeah, it is next week already because we skipped a week.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right,
I mean, we can put it off. I don't have a problem.
No. Yeah, well, it is just the two of us. We'll talk about that more later. It is just the two of us. But, yeah, I'll talk to you about that. But I do have to get back to reading Silverthorn. Today, listening to the audiobook for Time of Contempt was the first time since my mother passed away that I listened to something that wasn't Honor Harrington. series by David Weber. I've been listening, like binge listening to military science fiction, and it's kind of been cathartic, having to deal with reading a character dealing with loss, and at the same time I was dealing with loss. It actually has kind of been helpful. It's made it easier distracting myself too. I haven't been able to watch much in the way of videos. So that was all the themes that I had. Did anybody have anything else from their notes or any other thoughts, ideas that they wanted to bring up about this episode or in any way?
I'm really excited for next week's episode. You guys have seen it. I haven't.
Yeah.
I'll be watching it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd suggest just binge the rest of the season. Don't hold back.
It is aptly named Out of the Fire into the Frying Pan.
Right. So I'm assuming we're in the desert with Siri. So, because that desert is known as the frying pan.
Yeah, well, glad to have you catching up or caught up, Bill. Very happy to see that. Max, as always, glad to have you doing this channel with me. If it wasn't for you, this channel would never have gotten off the ground. So thank you. Everybody at home, thanks for watching. Please give us a like, a subscribe, and leave some comments. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell where they're wrong if they're wrong anywhere. But I'm sure I was wrong. So yeah, tell me I'm wrong in the comments. And don't forget to be awesome.